You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.
And now you're teaching at Robert Morris, is that correct?
Yeah, I just started full time this semester. I was an adjunct professor for years, and I used to be an adjunct for Pitt for years because I had a day job. I was government day job for a while as a civilian. Then I worked for a nonprofit here in Pittsburgh. And then I went back to the government, so I would teach in the evenings and work in the daytime. And then finally, I said I'm ready to teach full time and quit this daytime. I don't want to say buffoonery, but who the hell wants to work all day every day?
I agree. So the radio show, what got you into broadcasting? I mean, do you consider it a radio show and or podcast, or does it matter how you title it?
So, great question. You're on today, buddy.
Must be the Italian
The
fan.
radio show actually spun out of the Italian lessons. So when I was studying Italian, I always tried to find things that I could listen to in Italian. So one time, I think I was driving with my dad, and the AM. I think it's either 8:10 or 6:20 at the time. Used to have Sal Petitucci. He had that radio show for 50 years in Italian, and I would listen to it on Sundays. But one time, I heard a commercial for Hank Eduardo was on there. I don't know if you Hank. He's a Bloomfield guy. He's still there.
I recognize the name.
And him and his son Brian and I grew up together, and we went to Central, went to Mac. Still best friends. Cool. But I heard a commercial for his dad, and I called Brian. I said, "Hey, Brian, I heard your dad on the radio." And he said, "What?" And I told him, and he says, "Oh, that's Sal. They're good buddies." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I'd love to meet Sal because I'm trying to learn Italian." Well, as soon as I said that, was right around the same time Sal retired. And so I was talking to Hank, and he said, Sal maybe you take over, do the show. And I said, "Heck yeah." So I called somebody else to help me with the show. That didn't work very well, so I kind of stepped away for a while. And then that show didn't last. So the radio station called me, I want to say it was January this year, and said, "You want to come back?" And I said, yes. So I decided to do it a little differently. Brought in Claudio and I. We'd been wanting to partner on something. I said, "Claudio, I've got a great opportunity." And he said, "Heck yeah." So it is a radio show. So we're on KHB radio. It's 4 different stations in the Pittsburgh area. But then once the show airs, we put it on our website, Italian Impact Weekly, so you can go listen to the episode afterwards. But yeah, it is a radio show. But then it becomes a podcast after the fact.
So, I mean, obviously it's Italian oriented, but you had some really big names on. I mean, just to push it a little bit, tell us, I know, but the listeners, what it's about. I mean, it's obviously Italian geared, but in general.
So it's about celebrating basically success stories, Italian culture type success stories. So we have different people on there that are Italians or Italian Americans that kind of, we want to celebrate the culture, but we want to celebrate Italians in a positive way. So all the guests we've had on there have had good, positive lives. They don't have to necessarily be a big name, but we've had some big names on there, like Mario Andretti, Vince Ferragamo, Vince Papali. And then we've had other folks on there. You might go, "Who's that?" Well, they're good people with good successes, and they're doing well in life. So the idea is to just bring them on, again, talk about the culture. Who are you? Where are you from? So what? Tell us this. And then, what are you up to? Like, for example, like Mario Andretti, we talked a lot about his background. We didn't talk racing that much. Mm-hmm. We talked about his background, but racing in the sense that, how did you know that was going to become your career, your passion, after you were done retiring? Talks about some of your successes. Same with Vince Papali. We just had him on a few weeks ago. This is the guy that's the focus of the movie Invincible.
I mentioned, I think that's what, that's how I connected with you, because I saw that post and I was like, I was in that for like 5 seconds, that movie.
Oh, it's okay, more than I was. So you should wear that as a little bit of a feather.
Don't get me wrong. You'd have to really.
I did, by the way, I was what do they call him? Like a background person. Extra, thank you. Right. For a show on Netflix.
There you go.
And I don't care if it was for 5 minutes. It's still a cool experience.
Super cool.
To be behind the scenes, seeing how everything is working.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy. I'm like you. I don't care. I enjoyed it. It was fun. But the point though is we talked about, what are you up to now? We did talk a little bit about football, the state of football now. He agrees with me. I don't think they practice enough. I think the quality of football is going down, but that's a whole nother conversation
That's
for
another
another
show.
podcast. But the point, though, is we're trying to find who are these people as Italian Americans, not as, tell us about, your career. Well, I can Google that. I want to talk about the Italian American, or the Italian, in some cases like Mario Andretti, the Italian piece of you. Let's talk about that. And so we try and get a little more insight into who these people are. And again, there's some big names, there's some local folks on there. We're just having fun doing it. And the people that are on the show, we want them to have fun doing it. And we want to have great conversations, and just, again, it's a positive, fun show. There's so much garbage out there that to actually listen to something and walk away and feel good, that's our success, right there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're aiming for.
I've listened, like I said, not to all of them, but I highly recommend it, and we'll get that information out to people who I mean, there's a lot of Italians here. I'm just outside of Philly, so South Philly is reeking with it. So let's step outside the cast a little bit. I got a little segment. I'm going to tell you, I geared it towards the genre of Italians. It's called This or That. I'll give you two choices. You give me your preference. It's very simple. Are you ready? Are you up for the challenge?
I like it. Let's do it.
This does not mean you hate the other. It's just you have to make a choice. Otherwise, your Italian card is revoked or whatever. All right, so here we go. Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Wow. Shocking. Wow. Okay.
I mean, I just had it last night, and I'm in a happy place right now.
Stallone or Pacino?
Stallone. Come on.
Come on. This might be a tough one. Lombardozzi's or Dells?
Lombardozzi's in its prime.
I'm assuming it's not there. Or is it? Is it still there?
Lombardozzi's gone.
Ugh, man, I used to love that place. Anyway.
I know.
Italian meatballs, homemade Italian meatballs, or supersad?
Meatballs.
I agree. For people who don't know what the supersad is, that's just a cardiac-induced salami. I remember Mrs. Peluso at the bottom of Ella Street would give my friend Eugene. She would make it, give it to him. If I was there, luckily, oh my God, I should have been a really big fat guy with my mother's cooking, my grandmother. Anyway, I lucked out.
I run, otherwise I would be.
All right, Steelers or Penguins?
Penguins.
Boom, no hesitation there.
Nope.
The
Steelers are mired in mediocrity, my friend.
Oh man, it was brutal. I mean, I watched yesterday, but
they're winning, but they're not winning. It's like I look at the scoreboard and they won the game, but you're like,
it's amazing how they are winning. But yeah, we're spoiled. Oh well, I mean, 70s, 80s. Anyway, that's another show. The Seven Fishes or homemade lasagna?
Homemade lasagna.
The Godfather or Goodfellas?
Wow. I'll go with The Godfather for nostalgia, but that is a close one.
Yeah, you got to go Godfather. You got to. That is so classic.
Exactly, the nostalgic aspect of it.
There's some flaws.
But I quote both of them to this day. I'm still quoting both.
Oh yeah. It's great. It's great. Michelangelo or Michael Corleone?
Oh, Michael Corleone.
Poor Michelangelo gets trumped by a fake character. Gelato or water ice?
Gelato.
It's funny. I grew up on Ella Street, right across the pool. If you remember, there was a water ice store.
Yep.
And I can't remember for life. I should know this, the name of it. But that water ice was so good on a hot summer day.
The Italian ice, when it melts, is good because you get that sugar water at the bottom. But otherwise,
Now, I've never been to Italy, but Rome or Venice?
Well, I've been to Rome multiple times, so I'm going to go with Rome. It's still my favorite city, but I've never been to Venice. But everything I've seen pictures, my wife actually went, and I'm going with Rome.
All right.
Too much to see.
Super. You have a favorite Italian athlete?
Well, it's funny because we did talk Italian athletes on Italian Impact Weekly, and I think one of the best is still Dan Marino.